All right, everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be diving into something that I'm sure a lot of you are thinking about, especially as you get closer to retirement, and that's how to make that retirement income last.
Yeah, for sure. Got to make sure that money lasts.
Definitely. So we got this brochure here. It's from Diversified Insurance Brokers, and it's all about this annuity they offer called the American Life American Select Fixed Indexed Annuity.
Lots of words in that name.
I know, right? But basically, they promise you, comfy retirement, kick back, relax.
Sounds pretty nice.
Yeah. But of course, we got to look beyond just the marketing and figure out,
Yeah.
is this thing really as good as it sounds? And, for who does it actually make sense?
Okay.
So that's what we're going to be diving into today.
Exactly right. Because, let's be real, this is coming straight from the company who's selling it. So, of course, they're going to, hype up the good stuff. So our job here is to kind of unpack it, see how this thing actually works, and if it really is something that could be a good fit for, someone who's planning their retirement.
Okay, I love it. So before we even get into this specific annuity, can you just give us like a quick refresher? What is an annuity anyway? I think some people might have a general idea, but just so we're all on the same page.
Okay, so an annuity, the simplest way to think about it, it's basically like a contract. You're making a contract with an insurance company. You give them a lump sum of money, and then in exchange, they promise to make regular payments back to you.
Okay, so it's kind of like you're creating your own personal pension in a way.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a really good way to put it. And those payments can start right away, or they can start later down the road, like when you actually hit retirement.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big appeals, right? Especially when you're not working anymore, that steady stream of income.
Got it. Like a guaranteed paycheck, essentially, in your retirement.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So this annuity, though, that we're looking at today is a fixed indexed annuity. So how is that different from, just a regular plain old annuity?
All right, so this is where things get kind of interesting with fixed indexed annuities. What happens is the growth potential of your money is linked to how a particular market index performs. So, like the S&P 500, that's a common one. But, and this is a big but, the money you put in, the principal, is protected from any losses if the market takes a dive.
Okay, so now you're making me a little suspicious here, because I'm looking at this material, and it says, quote, market-linked growth potential while protecting your principal from market downturns.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, no, it sounds kind of like, too good to be true. But it's not magic. It's more like clever, financial engineering. So basically what they do, the insurance company, they take the money you give them, and a good chunk of it, they invest it in stuff that's super safe and stable, like bonds. And that's how they guarantee you won't lose your principal. Then what they do is they use a portion, not all of it, of the potential gains from whatever index you've chosen, and they credit that to your account.
Okay, so you're not directly investing in the stock market, but you're kind of getting like a taste of the upside without the risk of, going all in.
Yeah, exactly. It's like dipping your toes in the water, but, you're not going to get completely soaked if a big wave comes.
I like that analogy. All right, so if you're not directly invested, how do they decide, like, how much of those market gains you actually get? Like, is there some kind of formula?
Yeah, there is. It's all about, how they credit your account, what they call the index crediting strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really important part to understand if you're looking at these kinds of annuities, because there are a few things that come into play. First, you got participation rates. So that's like a percentage. It tells you what percentage of the index's gains actually get added to your account. And then on top of that, sometimes you've got these caps, which basically put a limit on how much you can earn in a certain period, even if the market, goes crazy high.
Ah, okay.
And then sometimes you might even see something called spreads. And a spread is basically like a fee that the insurance company takes out of the index's returns before they credit your account.
So there are fees involved.
Yeah, nothing's completely free, unfortunately, even in the annuity world.
Makes sense. I guess that's, how they make their money.
Yeah, exactly. It's how they cover their costs and all that. So you always got to factor in those fees, any limitations when you're comparing different annuities. Now, this particular one, this American Life American Select, it gives you a choice of 3 different indices. You've got the S&P 500 ESG Index, the Goldman Sachs Xenith Index, and then there's the Janus SG Guidance Index, value lock. So lots of options there.
Oh, okay. So just for people who aren't, super familiar with all the different indices out there,
Mm-hmm.
can you break those down a little bit? Like, what's the difference between investing, based on ESG versus Zenith versus value lock. What are we talking about here?
All right, so let's start with that ESG index.
That's
ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. So what they do is they focus on companies that have, good practices in those areas. So if you're somebody who really wants their investments to line up with their values, maybe you're really big into sustainability or social justice, this could be a good option for you. But you got to remember, ESG investing is still kind of a new thing. And just because an index has performed well in the past doesn't mean it's guaranteed to keep doing that in the future.
Makes sense. So what about the Xenith Index then?
Okay, so the Zenith Index, that one's aiming for higher returns, and they do that through something called, dynamic asset allocation. So what they do is they're constantly adjusting the mix of investments in the index. They're looking at what's happening in the market and trying to, kind of ride the waves a little bit more actively. So could be good for bigger gains, but it could also be, a little bit more volatile for people who are a little bit more comfortable with risk.
Okay, yeah. Higher risk, higher potential reward. Got it. And then last but not least, we got the Value Lock Index, which, I don't know, that name kind of speaks to me. I like the sound of that. What is that all about?
All right, so the value lock, well, the name kind of gives it away. It's all about, locking in value. So it focuses on stocks that are considered undervalued by the market, but at the same time, they're trying to limit that volatility, those ups and downs, and they do that through a bunch of different strategies, diversification, hedging. They're really trying to aim for that steady growth with a little bit more protection.
Okay, that sounds kind of ideal. So are there any downsides to that?
Well, even when they say volatility control, there's always going to be some level of risk, right?
Right, you can never completely eliminate it.
Exactly.
Okay, so it sounds like with this annuity, you do have some options depending on your risk appetite, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. You can kind of pick and choose a little bit.
So there's also some stuff here in the material about like penalty-free withdrawals and customizable term options. Can you explain how that works and how that would benefit, somebody who's planning for their retirement?
Yeah. Okay. So, nobody can predict the future, right?
Yep.
Life throws you curveballs. Maybe you have some unexpected expenses that come up, or maybe your retirement plans change. So having that flexibility to access your money without getting penalized is a really big plus.
Right. It gives you peace of mind.
Yeah, for sure. And then with the term options, you can kind of customize it, choose a term that lines up with your own retirement timeline so it makes the annuity a little bit more personalized to your own situation.
Okay, that's a good point. And then there's also a death benefit too, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely a really important feature. If, you pass away, the money in the annuity, it gets passed on to whoever you've designated as your beneficiary. So it's not just about taking care of yourself in retirement. It's also about, making sure your loved ones are protected.
Yeah. It's like leaving a legacy in a way.
For sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, one more thing I wanted to touch on. Because Diversified Insurance Brokers, the company offering this annuity, they mentioned they work with multiple carriers.
Oh, yeah. That's a good thing to highlight.
Yeah.
Because what that means is they're not limited to just promoting this one product. They can actually shop around for you.
Oh.
Help you compare different annuities from different companies, see what else is out there. So, you're not just stuck with one option.
That's a big plus. So after looking at all of this, what's your overall take on this American Life, American Select Fixed Indexed Annuity? Is it something, you'd recommend? Is it worth considering?
Okay, so I think for some people, it could definitely be a solid option. It really depends on your situation, your goals, all of that. I mean, that combination of potential growth with the principal protection, that's pretty attractive, especially if you're someone who, values that peace of mind in retirement. And then, the flexibility you get with those withdrawals, the death benefit, the different indices you can choose from, that's all good stuff.
Right.
But as with anything, any financial product, you got to read that fine print. Really pay attention to what the fees are, the specifics of how they credit your account with each of those indices. Those limitations could really affect how much you actually earn.
Okay, so do your homework.
Exactly.
All right, well, this has been super helpful. But as you said, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Right? There's a lot more to consider when you're planning for retirement.
For sure.
So we've unpacked a lot about this annuity today. But remember, this is just one perspective.
Yeah.
We're looking at the marketing material. So now it's your turn to think about, what are your goals? How much risk are you comfortable with? Do your own research. Compare different retirement investment strategies. And if you really want to get personalized advice, reach out to somebody like Diversified Insurance Brokers or a financial advisor. They can help you figure out a plan that really works for you.
Yeah, get that personalized advice.
All right, everybody, that's a wrap for today's deep dive.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic, so stay tuned.
We'll see you next time.